I am Nicole Kornet and I am a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Law. I started experimenting with problem-based learning in my master's course, International Commercial Law. The main reason I wanted to change my approach to PBL was student engagement. In my course, I have groups of 19 students with only one tutorial meeting a week, as opposed to some PBL processes whereby there are 2 tutorial meetings in the week. Focus also shifts towards lecturing as a means of knowledge transfer as a teacher. My concern was that the learning process would become centered on me as a lecturer, that I would drive the content, the method, the pace, and that there is also a risk that as a lecturer, I would be structuring the knowledge for the students, that I would be creating a framework for them in which to then place the problem that they had to discuss in the tutorial. By flipping the classroom and having student-driven lectures, I think what I've done is I've placed the responsibility for the learning process back where it belongs, and that is with the students. My approach to PBL has 3 main features. In the first place, I flipped the classroom. In my course, I have 1 tutorial meeting and 1 lecture per week. That means that there is a tendency sometimes to use lecture meetings as a way to inform students and to create structure to the students' learning in advance. I chose to purposefully place my lecture at the end of the week, after the students have had the tutorial meeting. The second feature of my problem-based learning approach is that I have a student-driven approach to lecture content. I survey students online after they've had the tutorials to determine what it is that they have difficulty with, but also what questions they might still have that they'd like to have addressed in the lectures. The third feature of my problem-based learning approach is the way in which I approach my tutorials. In my tutorials, I normally have about 19 students. That makes it very difficult to engage all students actively in the discussions. For that reason, I split my tutorial groups into 4 to 5 students per group, and then they engage in the discussions together. Sometimes I ask one group to work as the claimant, one group to work as the respondent, and another group to act as judges. And then in a plenary discussion, we bring it all together. What I'm really pleased with is the level of student engagement in my tutorials. It seems like there's a real buzz in the classroom with everyone engaged in discussion, arguing points with each other. And the focus has gone back to where it should be, and that's with students engaging with each other and learning together, and away from me as a tutor. And what I also find is that by giving the students the opportunity to discuss matters with each other in smaller groups, when we bring it into a plenary discussion, even the quieter students have the confidence to speak up and to participate. I think some of the challenges that I've faced, if I look at the tutorial group setting, as a tutor trying to decide how much time do you give the students for a small group discussions and when do you intervene and make it a plenary discussion. And this is sometimes a judgment call and can lead to difficulties in practice. Another challenge I found was trying to engage students in the reflective process after the tutorials. How there's a learning curve for students in that respect. A third challenge is a very practical one. At the point in time that you want to split your tutorial group into smaller groups, just simply finding the space for students to be able to work with each other in a smaller setting is more difficult. So I think that my approach to lecturing supports the principle of constructive learning under PBL. What I'm trying to do is to make sure that the lecture is not the starting point of the discussion for the students, but that it functions as a final discussion of the subject matter. I think the way in which I've reorganized my tutorial groups by dividing my students into small groups of 4 or 5 students, I've enhanced the collaboration between students during the tutorials. So my course is on international commercial law, which is a very complex area of the law. The problems that the students work with are very real life. They're dealing with different types of contracting situations, so the course itself has a contextual orientation. By flipping the classroom, I've encouraged the self-directed learning of the students.